almost coaxed you into singing that. We have almost no time right here now because we have station break coming up, but I wanted to remind you that tomorrow night, a lot of people have said, tell us again what night it is. Jack Parr will be here for the whole show, so it'd be great to see Jack back in this time slot, won't it?
It will indeed.
You did your first talk show with him.
Absolutely, and for actors, the talk shows were very difficult in the beginning because it had nothing to do with acting, and I was panicked. And he was really perfectly marvelous to me and sort of, you know, got me used to just exposing myself, you know, which is hard for actors to do. They'd rather be hidden in something else.
Yeah. Last time you talk about your virginity, now you talk about exposing yourself. Betty.
Unfortunately, we did.
Yes, we did. Let's talk about some of the comment on that when we get back.
All right.
We're back. It's funny, the band was playing Zigeuner, the Noel Coward song, and you sang that in Bittersweet?
In Bittersweet, yes. Gee. In London.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's interesting.
And I tell you, she had the most beautiful voice. Yeah. I'll never forget your voice. It was exquisite. Truthfully.
Oh, dear.
Truthfully was. You know it was, honest.
No,
in your heart.
I'll tell you what
because
it was like.
Because you loved singing. You loved singing.
Not necessarily, no. It was always a chore. But as I said long ago, I was not Miss Mouse exactly. I thought I could go around and see what I could do. So when I was just out of the chorus, I managed through Arthur Hammerstein to get an audition with the old man Oscar Hammerstein of the opera.
The old Oscar Hammerstein.
Yes, the one with the plug hat. And so I went to sing for him. And he listened politely for a little while, and then he said, yes, a very pretty voice. Out. So I always know what to say. A very pretty voice is what it was. But it was not so beautiful as all that. He didn't think so.
He did. Well, I did. I did.
Well, I should have applied to you for the job.
You would have gotten it. You would have gotten it.
You two really are friends. Some people tell us that it's impossible for actresses to get along.
Well, through the years, not. This is so long since we've seen each other.
Is it?
You know?
Yes, very much so.
Just so many years since we've seen each other.
It is, and she's in Maine, and I would be in California, or I would be in London, and she would be in California. We move around.
But because of my really meeting Miss Wood at the Cape Playhouse, I asked for the privilege of giving her the award tomorrow because I thought it was a kind of a link between us, you know, the Playhouse. And the Henry Fonda, I was the first year for the achievement. Henry Fonda was the second. Miss Wood is now the third year, the Achievement Award. And we were all at the Playhouse at exactly the same time, the same year. Hank was beginning his career, but he had parts to play, and I was ushering. And, of course, she was our star, you know. But it was a strange thing that the three of us were all at that beautiful Cape Playhouse. It was the first one, you know.
Be interesting
the
to see the
first great one that ever was.
The old program with your names in small type and Henry Fonda and Bette Davis.
Oh, I have a lot of programs like that.
I didn't keep those for me.
Good for you. Miss Wood, what do you think of this modern phenomenon of these actresses coming on television and telling their most intimate details of their lives and
Should I leave now?
No, but you know, these days things are discussed publicly that never were years ago.
Oh, you mean the actresses are doing it, or they're playing parts that do it?
No, they're both. They do both.
They come on shows like this and tell anything.
That's right. I had one do it once.
Well, I'm not a young woman. I don't. I sometimes discuss my virginity, but that's all. No, there are no holds barred anymore. They're the most unbelievable intimate experiences they discuss.
Yeah.
Well, am I not lucky? I haven't seen them. Maybe something told me not to be caught up in that. Because one of these days you would ask me what I thought of it. That would be the trouble.
And you don't have that reputation. No, I guess you know that about what happened with Miss Davis. I don't know who surprised whom the most that night, because we'd been discussing how, in an interview, we trust each other because we know each other. And I said, you know, I wouldn't ask you anything that you wouldn't want to ask.
No, you were kidding. The old interviewer, like,
Yeah.
you know, who used to ask all these questions.
What's your
And so
favorite
then,
color?
Yes, and so then you, as a joke, asked me this question as one of those interviewers, columnists would ask.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought a minute, and I said, well, you know, I'm going to answer you. And his face. But then I felt that, you see, I felt it was not in bad taste, actually, because it had to do with my being married, you
That's
know.
right.
I think if I'd told you when I lost my virginity to some unknown fella somewhere.
Yes.
But I'm rather original today, you know. It's a phenomena today, you know, that you marry as a virgin, and I did. So I felt it wasn't in bad taste.
Not at all.
But it was kind of fun besides.
It didn't bring back the fad, but it did.
And it never will bring back the bad. And a good thing it is.
I
A good
suppose.
thing it is.
That's
Oh,
right. You
yes.
also said that.
Oh, yes, it's
there was-
absurd.
There was more talk about that, I guess. And we both looked startled. Well, you didn't look startled at all. I did. Miss Wood, you got an award from the King of Norway, which I find intriguing.
Yes.
And it's occasionally
It's
given
not an award,
to
my
an-
dear.
Oh, I'm
No.
sorry.
It's a decoration.
A decoration.
Decoration, yes. When the Norwegian government and the king decided to give this thing to me, another network on which I was, I don't suppose I dare mention it.
Are they still in business? I'm sorry.
They decided that since nothing like that had ever happened to any of their actors, they would give a big luncheon. And the Norwegian consul, head consul, would give this thing to me as in lieu of the king, who just didn't go running around giving awards to anybody. So we had the thing in a big to-do, and it very nearly didn't come off because it was given at the Waldorf Astoria, and the Norwegian consul wouldn't go on with it because the Waldorf had decorated the entire room with Swedish flags. Once they got those torn down and the Norwegian flags put up, then we went through the little ceremony, and the thing was pinned on me. And then we sat down to lunch. And a young man, obviously in the advertising world, the Madison Avenue world, sat down next to me, and he said, now, when are you going to have your audition? The word for being presented to a royalty is audience.
No.
And he said, when are you going to have your audition?
Oh,
Was he the same man who put up the flags, possibly?
Could be, yes.
But they finally got it all straightened out.
Yes, finally got it all straightened out. Then I went to Norway because as I say, the king doesn't come out of the country. You go to him, and then you find out when he will be seeing you, and you find out through your embassy. And I said, I didn't know what. It's like doing a talk show, my dear, because I didn't have any script. I didn't have any idea what I was to do or say. I didn't know whether I was going to stand in line and curtsy or what. So I went in, and I asked the equerry what I was to do. He said, you'll find it's all right, it's all right. I didn't know the words, I didn't know the script, I didn't know anything.
Do you speak Norwegian?
Well, I speak a few words, but I went in, and the king, he said, only one thing, you must wear a dark dress and don't turn your back on the king. Well, that's two things I knew anyway. So I went in, and he had met me. He had a desk in the middle of this big room, a roll-top desk. And I went in, and he had met me halfway to the door. Then he sat down, and I discovered that he was going to speak English beautifully, as he did. And I had a perfectly delightful time. It was like a cafe-clutch, really. And he said, were you at my birthday party? Well, the birthday party was the whole of Norway the day before, and a parade. And I want you to know that that man had walked down the center of the big street with no guard at all. And from crossing to crossing, his arms were filled with flowers as the children came up. to give them to me. And when the thing was over, I really would like to tell this to the whole of the United States. There wasn't a piece of a lily cup or any debris in the place at all. It was absolutely clean.
How did they manage that?
They're clean people.
Oh. Has something to do with it.
Yes.
Was he personable, though? Did he seem like, could you
Oh,
ever get out of your head that you were
did
talking
he?
with
Well,
the
he was
king?
really
Yeah.
one of the great, great people.
Oh,
wasn't
he
he?
was a marvelous
Beautiful
person. And what was the thing? There was well, a little nursery rhyme that fitted with something, and he knew it, and he slapped his leg along with it. It was "Pussycat, Pussycat, where have you been?"
Yes.
I've been to London to see the Queen, but I've been to Oslo to see the King. You see, and he was. I didn't know that how I was going to get out of it because he wanted to keep on talking, and I knew that I couldn't stay all the time. But he talked to me not so much about the Mama show that I did, which this medal is given to people who do make a sort of rapport between people outside of Norway and Norway too. And there have been actresses from Holland, or that is not theater always, it's a sea captain sometimes. And anyway, when it was time to go, one nice thing, he said, "What have you done in our country?" I said, "I was just on the air, did an interview." He said, "What did they pay you?" I told him, he said, "Well, you see, they won't pay me anything." So he said, "I talked to the Chamberlain, and he said that was my job." How about that?
That's smart.
So then I remembered when he got up that I was not to go to the door by turning my back on him. So he walked along with me a little bit. And as I turned to make my bow, he had gone back to his desk. So he had saved me from making a faux pas. That was quite an experience.
Gee, that is interesting. I wish more kings had his manners.
I wish more came.
Well, the ones I've met have been perfect slobs.
Have you-
How strange to meet
You
a
met
king.
a
It's
king?
really- no, I never have
No,
met
I
him.
haven't.
But I can't imagine if he went on like that, how you would end the conversation. I mean, you can't. You'd be tempted to say things like, "You're not the only king I'm seeing today," or something. It's a really wonderful story. We'll be right back after this message of interest. Stay with us.